Planning a cruise these days is like being the manager of a small business and breaking down the profit and loss financial sheets. I mean, we're looking at revenue coming in versus expenses. We're trying to figure out what costs are fixed and what ones are controllable and where we can cut costs without sacrificing quality. We just want the best bang for our hard-earned buck like anyone else, and we're always looking for ways to save. There's one thing that we've been doing for years to save money when we cruise, and it's something we were nervous about at first, but now we wouldn't have it any other way, and that thing is booking our own excursions outside of the cruise line. Hello everybody, Jamie here from Sharonatsea Travel. Thanks for joining me for the video today. Like everything else in life, the costs associated with cruising have increased substantially over the past few years. And I guess that's to be expected. I mean, the entire industry and everything associated with it was shut down for 18 months just 4 years ago. When we sit down now to figure out what cruise we want to book, we really need to take the time to break down every penny that we're going to be spending, and we try to cut costs wherever we can to ensure we get the best value for the best experience possible. I mentioned it's like a P&L, a profit and loss statement, and with most businesses, there are only a few costs that you can actually have any real control over. I mean, the cost of the cruise is pretty fixed, barring any special deals or promotions. The cost to get you to the cruise port is what it is, and you're either paying for flights or paying to drive there and park. Hotels the night before the cruise can be expensive without much wiggle room if you want to be somewhere near the port. Once on board the ship, it's a lot of the same with prices, and one of the more expensive things you'll have to plan for are the cruise ship excursions. One of the reasons why cruising is such an amazing way to vacation is the fact that you can go to sleep in the middle of the ocean and wake up on the shore of some exotic destination. Whether it's the East Coast or the West Coast, Alaska or Australia, Asia or Europe, visiting new destinations is really what cruising is all about. I mean, everything you would do on the ship can be kind of reproduced on land and probably not too far from where you live. But stepping off the ship onto foreign soil, that's a unique experience. And when you get the chance to do it, you want to make the most of it. Every cruise port has something different to offer: history, culture, sights and sounds, beaches, mountains, and you only have like 6 or 8 hours to go out and explore and make the most of your day. The cruise line puts together excursions for you that'll likely visit the places that the area is well known for. And in most cases, there's nothing wrong with booking an excursion with the cruise line. But we've learned over the years that if you want to make the most of your day in a cruise port and do it in the most cost-effective way possible, the best way to do that in almost all cases is to book your excursion on your own outside of the cruise line. If you've done it before, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, then I know right now you're looking at me and saying, but Jamie, what if we miss the ship? I get it, that's your biggest concern, and at first it was ours as well. So let's talk about it. Yes, when you book with the cruise line, you're guaranteed to make it back to the ship, and if the tour is delayed, the ship will almost always wait for you. In rare cases, the ship might leave and they'll get you to the next port of call one way or the other. Any way you slice it, getting back to the ship isn't a concern when you book with the cruise line. Now, is it a concern when you book outside the cruise line? In most cases, I'd say no to that as well. First, when you book your own excursion, you're in charge. You choose the who, what, where, and when of your excursion. You know what time your ship leaves, so you can plan accordingly. Also, the local tour operators know the ship schedule, so they plan accordingly as well. Most tour operators have a back-to-the-ship guarantee, and you can confirm that before booking with them. In the extreme event that you might miss the ship, they'll pay to get you to the next port, either by air, land, or sea. Remember, these tour operators make a living doing this, and the first time that they miss a cruise ship will likely be the last time they offer a tour. Also, they have friends, family, and a network of other locals to call on in the event of an emergency, either on land or at sea. So if a vehicle or a tour boat breaks down, they'll likely be able to reach help, and they'll have a backup plan to get you back to the ship in plenty of time. I know you've seen the pier runner videos, and that can make you nervous, but in most cases, they are just late due to their own issues, like having too many local cocktails or not paying enough attention to what time it is, not because their tour was late. If you do the research, it'll show that people rarely miss the ship due to an outside excursion. Now, once you get over the fear of missing the ship, then you can start looking at all the benefits of booking non-cruise line tours. First, in almost all cases, they are less expensive for a tour of equal or greater value. Second, in almost all cases, there will be less people involved, and at times, the tour might actually end up being private with no one else there but your group and a tour guide. And less people means more quality time with that tour guide, more questions being answered, and more control of what you see and do. Third, you can start and end your tour when you want to, so schedule a tour that gets you back to the ship with plenty of time to spare and allows for some time to explore the port area and do some eating, drinking, and even shopping. Maybe the best reason to book your own tour is that you never have to wait for the slowest person in the group. And I'm not talking about an older cruiser like me that might just walk a little slow. I'm talking about the slowest eaters, drinkers, swimmers, The people that don't understand when they say, okay, you have free time, so meet back here at the bus in 20 minutes. You know, those people, the ones that can't follow directions. Let me give you the perfect example. You get off the cruise ship, you see a large group of people just standing around. They're all going on a tour. Let's say they're all taking an ATV tour, and so are you, but you booked directly with the company and not with the cruise line. Well, you're going to get off the ship and exit the port pretty quickly. You're going to meet your guide, head to where the ATVs are, get quickly fit for a helmet, receive some instruction, maybe sign a quick waiver, and you'll be off and running. The group at the ship has to make sure every one of the 25 or so people are there, then walk everyone to and get everyone onto a large bus to go to where the ATVs are. Then they have to fit 25 helmets and repeat the instructions 3 or 4 times, then get all the waivers signed, then get everyone onto the ATVs with more questions from people that have never driven an ATV before. By the time the tour even starts, it's over an hour since you got off the ship. Meanwhile, that private tour, well, they've already stopped at 3 locations and they're heading somewhere secluded that the big tour can't even go to. This is exactly what happened to us when we used Splash in the Sun on our recent Icon of the Seas cruise in St. Martin. You can actually check out the excursion right here. We'll go ahead and put a little link to it there if you're interested. Another quick example is when we go to Roatan, Honduras. Years ago, we booked our own tour with a fairly new tour guide in the area that just had a few good reviews. We had been there before, so we weren't concerned about trying an excursion outside the cruise line. Well, fast forward to today, we have used that same tour company for every trip to Roatan, and every time he finds something different for us to see and do. Not to mention, we've actually become very good friends with him, and that person is Johan with Real Deal Roatan Tours. We recommend him to every person that we hear is going to Roatan, Honduras, no matter what the cruise line is that you're taking. It's actually a great feeling when you have someone that you're familiar with and that you trust to show you the beauty of an island or the destination, and you know they love sharing things about their homeland as much as you love learning about it. It's more like spending a day with a friend exploring than just being on some tour with a large group of 25 or so people. Now listen, I'm not saying you won't have a great time on a cruise line excursion, and on rare occasions, we might still do one. Like we did one in Ketchikan, Alaska last summer because we had a credit with the cruise line we didn't want to lose. We ended up visiting a local oyster farm and it was an awesome time, and we learned that they offer private tours as well that can be booked direct. So next time we visit the area, we can definitely do that. I'm just saying, don't be afraid to try things on your own. You might just find out it's a great way to explore a new destination. Once you check out what the cruise line's offering, do your own research, go to reputable websites like shoreexcursioneer.com or Viator.com or even toursbylocals.com. And I'm sure there's a number of other ones too. And once you find a possible tour, research it some more, because the more you know about the tour and the tour company, the less stress you'll have when you book a tour on your own. Now, speaking of doing things on your own, that's another option as opposed to cruise line excursions or booking an actual tour with a tour guide. You don't have to book a tour with anybody. With the proper research, you can be your own tour guide. Many cruise ports will offer easy-to-maneuver public transportation or taxis. You may not find Ubers or Lyfts everywhere, though. And if you know where you want to go, they can get you there quicker and cheaper than the cruise line. Whether it's one of the popular beach clubs in Cozumel, Mexico, or an all-inclusive day pass in Puerto Vallarta, or one of the forts in San Juan, Puerto Rico, these can all be done on your own at your own pace and leisure. We even challenged ourselves on our Europe cruise last summer by using Google Maps, buses, and trains to explore places that were over an hour away from the cruise ship, and we even booked an outside tour that took us from our cruise port in Warnemünde, Germany to Berlin, Germany, which is over a 2-hour bus ride away. Now, I might not recommend that for everyone, but it's doable, and the time we had was simply a once-in-a-lifetime experience for all of us. At the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you and your friends and family that you're cruising with. But if you're thinking about doing things on your own for your next cruise, I'm here to tell you to give it a try. Start small. It's okay to take baby steps, but I bet once you do it for the first time, you will be happy you did, and you may not go back to those cruise line excursions anytime soon. I'm not trying to take away from the cruise lines, but I'm just trying to tell you not to limit yourself on your next cruise adventure. Do me a favor and please share an excursion experience that you've had in the comments below the video. Let me know if you've taken or want to take an excursion on your own and how it turned out. We would love to hear about it, and you might just help someone else to step out of their comfort zone on their next cruise. Now, if you think I'm crazy and there's no way you'll book outside the cruise line, you can let me know that too. As long as you're happy, I'm happy. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel with notifications on, giving the video a big old thumbs up, and sharing it with family and friends. And if you're in search of a trained professional with lots of cruising experience to help you book your next cruise, you know who to call. That's right, my fabulous wife, Sharon. Shoot her an email at sharonatsea@gmail.com. and start the planning today. Thanks very much for spending a little time with me today, and we'll see you in the next video.